Today I give thanks for the poet John Donne, who died on March 31st, 1631. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you, as always. One of the things I pay attention to when we're taping these episodes is the church calendar, not only in terms of the seasons of the church year, but any commemorations that are happening. And it turns out that we're actually going to publish this on Thursday, March 31st, because that is the commemoration date of an English poet and scholar who died on this date, March 31st, in 1631, named John Donne. Whether you know the name specifically or not, you certainly have heard some of his words. And I guess I have just a couple of quick thoughts today. One of his famous passages comes from a meditation, 17, from a piece called Devotions Upon Emergent Occasions, which begins, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent," and it concludes with, "Therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee," which is a reminder of how we are connected to everyone else in the world. And that, by the way, is a profoundly Christian instinct. Through that piece of writing, as well as many other poems and essays and so forth by Donne, he ended up actually being picked up in a lot of unexpected places since his death. Among them, I will lift up just a few. Maybe most famously, Ernest Hemingway wrote a novel called For Whom the Bell Tolls, based on that writing. His words have been set to music by countless composers, including a very famous English composer named John Dowland and another very famous, more recent English composer named Benjamin Britten. Maybe less expectedly or more unexpectedly, he shows up in an episode of The Simpsons, where Homer Simpson quotes or says he's read a poem by him, which I'm going to read in a second. He's also shows up in a song by, I believe he's also an Irishman named Van Morrison. The song is actually called Rave On, John Donne, and I'm not going to be able to, it's from an album from 1983, Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. So one thought, and I mean this sincerely, is that John Donne in his own life probably never would have imagined the impact he would have had on those artists and countless others that I'm leaving out. And it's a reminder to us, and again, I say this in all earnestness, that I'm not sure any of us ever fully appreciate the impact that our words, our actions, our very life has on those that we know, and maybe even will have on those we have never met. And so today, among other things, I want to suggest that we take, maybe call it our own legacy, seriously, and recognize the power each of us has as a child of God to impact the world for good, and to impact the lives of those who we know, but again, also maybe the lives of those we will never meet and who may be impacted by us for years to come. So take that seriously and remember, maybe we could use the language of giftedness, the gift that your life is, and the capacity that you have to be a gift to others. I think it helps us to remember how important you are, I guess, if I could put it very simply. So that's one thought. And I don't read a lot of poetry here in this space. And the truth is, I don't, there are poems that are very dear to me, but in my reading, I tend to read more essays and that kind of thing. But I do want to conclude with another famous short poem. It's a sonnet by John Donne, which the thrust of it is, and some of it is intelligible without much explanation. Some of it is slightly less so, but that's okay. But the gist of it, the thrust of it is that, and this is called, by the way, "Death, be not proud." That's the first phrase. This is the one that Homer Simpson said he had read in a Simpson episode, is that death, it's sort of personified, should not be proud, because in the end, it does not win. And again, this is a profoundly Christian instinct. Death itself will die is the thou shalt die is the final line of the poem. And it's sort of a riff on 1 Corinthians 15, verse 26, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. So this is Holy Sonnets 10 by John Donne. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet can thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure then from thee much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls' delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and poppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke. Why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. On this day, we give thanks for the work of John Donne, and I give thanks to all artists and poets and musicians who help us to see and understand what is true and good and beautiful. Thanks as always. Be well, stay in touch, and God bless.